Hey guys, what's up? This is attorney Chloe Corbett, aka the Duchess of Justice, and I am one half of the Defiant Lawyers, where we provide legal analysis of trending politics, policies, personalities, and pop culture to empower each and every one of you all to defy an unjust legal system and end systemic racism.
Hey everyone, I am attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Recently, I took a look at our analytics and I noticed something shocking. Many of you watch our videos, and I believe you enjoy them, but you haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Again, I was shocked because I know our content is empowering and informative. Plus, our 2024 goal is to have 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Please help us by hitting that subscribe button, especially you young folks. We particularly want to increase our number of young subscribers. Thanks for all your continued support. We appreciate it very much.
So look, this is another video where I am going to go into detail exposing Project 2025. If you've been following our channel for the last few videos, you'll see that my dad has done a wonderful job breaking Project 2025 down, given the history of it, how it dates back decades, all the way back to the Reagan administration. And I want you all to know that Project 2025 attacks civil rights on all fronts. And it is one of the biggest examples of anti-Black policies that this country has put out since we have had the civil rights movement that occurred in the mid-1900s. But they're getting bold with it, guys. And it is our job and our passion and our advocacy that we're going to expose this to you so that you have this information when you go into the polls in November 2024. We must stop Donald Trump. We must stop him, because if he gets into power with the recent immunity ruling that the Supreme Court has come down with, as well as other potential rulings that court can come with, it can really be the end of our democracy as we know it. So this is important. So I'm going to pull up, look at the screen right now. As I said before, Project 2025 attacks civil rights on all fronts, beginning, middle, end. And there is a strategy that has been in place for decades to attack civil rights and to put anti-Black policies in place. And leaders of Project 2025 are Gene Hamilton and Stephen Miller, author and affiliate of Project 2025. And right now, through their firm, America First Legal, they represent a white man who filed a bogus claim of reverse discrimination against a Black man. So there we go again. They are using the same laws that have been in place to protect the civil rights of African Americans to now try to claim that white men are being discriminated against. And they are doing it in broad daylight. So what is America First Legal? Take a look at the screen with me here. According to them, this is their mission. We believe that all Americans deserve a government that puts their needs, their interests, and their country first. Obviously, we know that means white supremacy and white privilege first. That's what they mean. This is the sacred obligation of every elected leader. This is the system our founding fathers established. This is the priceless heritage of every American citizen. We know they're not talking about every American citizen. They are talking about white American citizens, specifically white males. That is the heritage that they are talking about. They're not referring to African Americans and the contributions that we have done to build this country literally from the ground up. But let's continue. Yet, America First principles are now under attack like never before. Ooh. Look at that gaslighting. This is classic gaslighting. No one is attacking America First principles. What has been going on is that we have been fighting for civil rights, fighting for justice, and holding the state, local, and federal government accountable for making sure that policies are put in place that protect Black people. That's what we've been doing. They're not under attack. We are fighting to make sure that white supremacy is eradicated. But let's continue on their mission. Our security, our liberty, our sovereignty, and our fundamental rights and values are being systematically dismantled by an unholy alliance of corrupt special interests, big tech titans, the fake news media, and liberal Washington politicians. So I want to point out something. They are scared. They are scared about the browning and blackening of America. They are scared if the black community were to truly unite and be as strategic as they have been over the past few decades. They are scared of that happening. Our liberty. So they are scared of their liberty being attacked when they have never been the subject of chattel slavery. Guys, this is us versus them. That's what they're trying to do. Us versus them. Us versus them. They say, we founded America First Legal to serve our country from this coordinated campaign. With your support, we will oppose the radical left's anti-jobs, anti-freedom, anti-faith, anti-borders, anti-police, and anti-American crusade. So that is the mission of America First Legal. And anyone listening to this who cares about justice, who cares about civil rights, who cares about the black community, we should speak out against this, because they are trying to take this country back 200 years, guys. They are trying to put Trumpism in place. And we know that Trump has been very explicit and vocal about wanting to attack our democracy and basically put himself as a king, as sovereign. Let's go to the next slide. According to them, this is what they do. The radical left is using its power inside and outside of the government to destroy our country. It is opening America's borders, shutting down American energy, trying to take over American elections, and violating the fundamental civil rights of the American people. We know when they say American, again, they're talking about white Americans. At America First Legal, we are building a team of some of the nation's best legal, political, and strategic thinkers to challenge the lawlessness of every turn. We need the same thing on our side. We need legal, political, and strategic people that care about the black community and about preserving civil rights to challenge these people. Because outside of a few attorneys or names or people that you know of in the black community, there's really not a cohesive strategy to counterattack what they are trying to do. We must do that, you all. It is time. It's that time. They claim we will use every legal tool at our disposal to defend our citizens from unconstitutional executive overreach. We will also stand up against corporations that restrict free speech and violate our citizens' civil rights. So this is important. Not only are they attacking diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives and putting in anti-black policies in the public sector through the government, they are also doing the same thing against private litigants. We saw what Edward Blum did with the Fearless Fund, which is a black-owned fund that provided resources for women black-owned businesses. And we saw what a federal court ruled in that. They stopped that program from going. We saw what Edward Blum did with affirmative action. And again, this is what they're trying to do. So it's not just the public sector. They are also going against private businesses, private corporations, private citizens to put their anti-black policies in place and take this through the court system. Let's take a look at the America First leadership. I mentioned them before, Stephen Miller. If you all follow the absolute insanity that was the Trump administration, you know that Stephen Miller was behind a lot of the racist policies that Trump's administration put out. And Gene Hamilton is one of the authors of Project 2025. These are the men that are leading Project 2025 and this America First Legal. They said they are led by senior members of the Trump administration who were at the forefront of the America First movement. There we go. They are saying it plainly, you all. Our board of directors includes President Trump's former senior advisor, Stephen Miller, acting attorney general and budget director. Our senior leadership team has real world experience carrying out critical legal, policy, and political battles at the highest levels of the U.S. government. Again, this has all been a strategy that they have put in place over decades and then continued to narrow down and focus in the last few years to put their America First agenda, their anti-Black agenda in place. They proudly display on their website how they are for white men, essentially, and fighting for these unjust policies. If you look at this next slide here, this is a screenshot of some of the lawsuits that America First has implemented. They've sued Northwestern University for discriminating against white men in faculty hiring. They've filed a lawsuit against CBS, that's what I'm talking about today, for alleged anti-white and anti-male employment practices involving a white male news anchor. Okay. They've also tried to expose foundations for DEI initiatives, what they call racist DEI initiatives. They're proudly doing this, you all. They're doing it in plain sight. So now let's take a look at this bogus lawsuit that I mentioned before. As you see, Project 2025 affiliate is waging a racist court battle, multiple court battles. One of them, as you see on the screen, this is a picture of Jeff Vaughn, who was a former news anchor with CBS. The lawsuit, backed by a conservative group, as we know, America First Legal, which was founded by Trump advisor Stephen Miller, claims Vaughn was replaced by a minority, a Black anchor, in a furtherance of a policy to increase diversity. They are doing it over and over again, you all. The filing of these bogus lawsuits and trying to use the court system to engage in these racist court battles. And here's the thing. Because of Trump's presidency, he was able to put in place conservative America First judges and justices who will be making rulings on these very cases. And they know that even if they lose, they can appeal it up through the federal court system. And more than likely, they will get in a court that has a conservative MAGA appointed judge. And even if not, they can appeal it up all the way to the Supreme Court. And we know that that Supreme Court is now a conservative activist court. So this is what they know. They know that this has been a long game that they have done. They have used Trump back in 2016 to appoint all of these conservative federal judges who have lifetime appointments on these benches. And if they strategically bring these lawsuits in these courts, they know that either on the federal lower level, they could impact potentially cases across the country, or even if they lose, they could appeal it up, and the Supreme Court could decide to hear that case and make what they are trying to achieve the law of the land. That's where we're at. Let's go back to Stephen Miller. So if you take a look at your screen, according to Vanity Fair, former Trump advisor Stephen Miller claimed he has, quote, never been involved with Project 2025 in a post on X on Saturday. Unfortunately for Miller, he appears in a video on the Project 2025 website entitled Project 2025 Presidential Administration Academy. We know that he's involved with Project 2025. One of the co-founders of America First Legal, Gene Hamilton, is one of the authors of Project 2025. So come on. You can't pull the wool over our eyes, Stephen. We know exactly what you and your comrades are trying to do. Now take a look at the screen here. What are they trying to do? They are twisting civil rights laws that were meant to protect African Americans and trying to use them against African Americans. In the lawsuit that I mentioned before, if we go back to the other slide with the picture of Jeff Vaughn, he is alleging racial discrimination under 42 U.S.C. 1981, as well as Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, U.S.C. Section 2000E2. He's also alleging age discrimination under 29 U.S.C. 621-634. So they are twisting these civil rights laws. The Civil Rights Act initially was put into place hundreds of years ago to protect newly emancipated African Americans who had not had constitutional rights before then. So they were putting rights in place to make sure that African Americans could file lawsuits, that Black people could make contracts, that African Americans could do all of the things that white citizens could do. And then it was also codified by Congress as well, but they are twisting it. Jeff Vaughn, this former news anchor, is literally said in his lawsuit that he was discriminated against because he's a white man, simply because CBS decided to hire a black male news anchor. So obviously the implication is that just because someone is black, that means they are less qualified. And two, because an organization may want to focus on diversity and inclusion, that is racist against white men. I mean, the illogical thinking is really, it's mind staggering. The mental gymnastics that you have to go through. Just say you want to be racist. Because these mental gymnastics don't make any sense. If you take a look at your screen again, I think Vanity Fair said it very well in their article. Imagine a future in which Bill Barr seems moderate. Ooh. That's the frightening world allies of Donald Trump are trying to conjure into reality if he wins back the White House next year. As the New York Times reports, the former president's associates have begun plotting behind the scenes to install loyalist attorneys in a second Trump administration who could be, quote, more committed to his America First ideology. That's what we're seeing here, what I've detailed with this America First legal firm that has been founded and filing all of these racist lawsuits. They go on to say not only would his lawyers be conservative extremists like Stephen Miller and Gene Hamilton, like the ones who filled the ranks of his first administration, they would, sources familiar with the planning told the Times, be more willing to do Trump's personal bidding. So not only is he trying to put in these extremists, but they are loyal to him to a fault. They are his lackeys, for a better word. No morals, willing to do exactly what he wants if he is put back into office. And because of that immunity ruling that the Supreme Court just issued, if he claims that he was acting in his official duties and does something while in the office of the presidency, he has immunity. Okay? Either just through presumptive immunity or absolute immunity, if it was done in his official acts. And even if something that he did were not in his official acts as president of the United States. However, if there were evidence that could be used to hold him accountable for his unofficial acts, if that evidence were of official acts, then even that evidence cannot be used. This is the time that we're at, guys. The Vanity Fair article, if you see this next slide, states a second Trump administration, Mitnick added, would be, quote, predominantly staffed by opportunists who will rubber stamp whatever Trump and his senior White House staff want to do. That's what we're looking at with a second Trump presidency. And that's why my dad and I are using our voices to shout from the rooftops and to educate on why we must stop Trump. He cannot be elected president of these United States. Because if he does so, I truly believe that he will leave a negative, lasting impression on our country. And at this point, I'm ready to say it's time that we pack the Supreme Court. We need more than 9 justices at this point. Because at the rate we're going with the 9 justices that we have, with the 6 conservative justices that we have, there is no telling what else will be chipped away of our civil rights. And I'm going to talk about that in another video. Because what a lot of people don't know is that the Constitution does not state that there only must be 9 justices on the Supreme Court. There have been less, there have been more. And it's time for us to put more justices on the Supreme Court to protect our rights. Stay tuned for that video. I am going to talk about that, educate you all on that. Let me know what you all think about Project 2025, about this crazy lawsuit that this white news anchor filed against CBS because he was replaced by a black news anchor. I want to hear from you all below. Please don't forget to subscribe and join the channel. We have reached 100,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for everyone who has commented, who has liked the video, who has shared the video, who has called us, sent us emails. We appreciate you all more than you know. With that, I'm out of here, and I will be back in the next video. Peace.